Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable, high-performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore. Hello there, welcome to this episode, which I'm calling the Achiever's Achilles heel. Wherever you are in the world, you're good. And I'm hoping that maybe today's episode will give you some food for thought. Because if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably somebody who I think is keen to maybe improve your life, improve your business, improve you. And this is something we're going to talk about today is a funny one, because I think the Achiever's Achilles heel is often unseen. And because this is the inner edge, of course, you can guess it's going to be to do with something on the inside, something mental. Part of this, I think, maybe has been inspired by the episodes I've done over the last two episodes, which was, leveraging the entrepreneurial mind. And so maybe I could say this is almost like a part 3, so it definitely is linked. So if you like what you hear today and you haven't heard the other 2, I would suggest going back to listen to them. Now, an achiever or a high achiever definitely has some mental habits that somebody who perhaps isn't an achiever or who doesn't get things done, that there's a difference in the mindset. Now, from my perspective, every human being is hardwired with an achiever mindset, but that doesn't mean that everybody turns it on, and that doesn't mean that everybody uses it, but it's there. So I suppose let's explore a little bit today. From my perspective, maybe the key point at the start is, what I'm going to say is that the achiever's mindset can hurt you as well as help you. Okay, so the hurt you bit obviously comes in around the Achilles heel side of it. Now, there's no doubt it can help you, but it can also hurt you as well. Okay, so let's talk about what is an achiever's mindset. There's lots of different ways maybe to say this, but from my point of view, it's somebody who has a positive outcome-directed focus. So they are focused on something that they want to get or achieve or create. They can probably see it in their mind. They will probably imagine it as done in their mind. It's so clear to them they can almost taste the success of it. They feel good when they think about it, but they're kind of getting into the future and they can see themselves already having achieved this outcome. And what a lot of people like that who have that kind of habit are surprised to hear sometimes is that not everybody does that. And also what they're surprised to hear is that very often they might do it in one area. Like, say, for example, I deal a lot with business people and occasionally with sports people. If they're very good, they'll always have that as a habit, that they're very outcome focused. They're outcome directed focused. They think more in outcomes, positive outcomes. But the problem is, if they don't understand what they're doing, every now and again, they'll get tested or they'll get a kick or a punch from life or their work or whatever. And they can very often put a negative outcome into the same mental habit, and then that'll take them in the wrong direction. And most people don't really do this, in terms of, like, most people get caught up with problems, and problems are not positive outcomes. But they'll stew on problems, they'll stew on the past or something somebody said or something that went wrong. And so they kind of get locked in that loop. That's not the achiever's mindset. Don't know what you call that, but that's certainly a negative loop. It's a negative performance loop. So the achiever's mindset is where you allow yourself to say, right, well, what do I want? Can I see that? And to imagine that as if it's already happened, past tense. And very often what you see with an achiever is that they'll also imagine the process to get to that outcome. They'll see themselves, if they're about writing a book, they'll see themselves writing every day. They'll see themselves eating the right food or going to the gym. They'll see themselves making sales calls. They'll see themselves doing some of the difficult stuff, but succeeding in the pursuit of the outcome. So you can do both the outcome focus as well as the process focus. Those two work really well together. What's good about it? It definitely drives most progress in the world. It allows us to create incredible things, businesses, lives, buildings, products. It's just, that is the achiever mindset. We see something, let's go after it, let's create. So out of that comes better lifestyles, more jobs in economies, more improvements to society. So it's to be encouraged. Definitely to be encouraged. There's lots and lots of good about the achiever's mindset. So I'm not saying, because obviously I work with people, I guess, who are in that space. And I often think about my kids When I'm saying that it's hardwired, I can see it in kids. We've all had it. So when they want something and they really want something, you say, no, we're not doing that. I'm not giving you that. They are absolutely relentless in finding creative ways to convince us or to find a way to get to what they want. I see it all the time with my kids. And at some point, maybe in life, for a lot of adults, that seems to get knocked out of us. And I think that's really to do with conditioning or a misunderstanding about how we work from the inner to the outer. Okay, so how can it hurt you? Well, if the achiever's mindset is on all the time, you can get blinkered, and all you see is what you're going after. And that will cause you problems. That will cause you problems in terms of balance. You probably miss opportunities that have popped up in front of you. That's a very common thing, I think, that I've seen with a lot of my clients. They just miss things because they're so focused on what they want. Worst of all, I think you miss life. And like that achiever's mindset has a degree of competitiveness to it. And it's very subtle. And a lot of people who are achievers, if they don't switch it off or understand what it's doing, it will actually damage relationships because it's overly competitive. They have to win everything. They've got to win every conversation. They have to be a little bit ahead in every relationship. It really is very subtle, but very common. And for a lot of people, they get so obsessed as well with, okay, my focus is on money. My focus is on power, prestige. And that obsession, which comes from the achiever's mindset, just locked onto those things, it can ruin the lives of it can run and ruin the lives of most people without them realizing it. So it's funny, that mindset can drive them towards success and in a way allow them to achieve their goals. But because they don't understand that it's a mindset and that you have a choice as to when you step into it and also when you step out of it, because if you keep it on all the time, it is going to cause damage. And it's funny because that kind of mindset, and one of the, I suppose, emotions that come out of that is desire. And desire is a good thing in terms of it allows you to say, okay, I want to be better. Good. But if you don't understand that it is a mindset and you have a choice as to when I step in and out, as I say, it almost is like a level of addiction to it. It becomes a craving. I want more. I want more. I want more. I want to win. I want more. So anybody who has achieved a degree of success in any area will know that when you get to that, or if you achieve that, you get a hit of pleasure for a little bit of time, but then that pleasure goes away. And then your mind comes in and goes, I want more. I thought selling my business and getting this amount of money was going to give me fulfillment, but I'm not feeling it. So therefore I'm missing something. Let's go after something else. But that's been lost in the mind. And in a way, that's how desire, coming from the achiever's mindset, can become almost a craving that is more important than life itself. I wonder, can you relate to anything that I'm saying here? Or is your mind kind of going, well, that's not me? I think there's a little bit or a lot of this in everyone. But if you're somebody who's used to achievement, my experience is that it's probably in you way more than you realize. And it also can manifest, for example, if you've got an achiever's mindset, it can manifest in how you treat people, how you are with human beings. It also can manifest in how you treat yourself, whether you're hard on yourself, whether you've a lack of compassion or forgiveness for yourself. People can be downright nasty to themselves. And a lot of it's to do with sometimes expectations coming from the achiever's mindset. Really, really common. And the Western culture, the conditioning if you're listening to this in the Western world, it's absolutely everywhere. But most people don't necessarily realize it's there because they've never considered it. So if you think about this in terms of, have you ever thought about, okay, let's just say you probably have goals listening to this. You've got goals maybe this year or maybe the next 3 years or 10 years, or like maybe they're life goals. What happens, do you think, when you get what you want? Like, that's the achiever's mindset. It's okay, well, let's set the goal. What happens when you get what you want? Think, well, I'm gonna feel great. I'm gonna have a sense of achievement. I'll feel good about myself, good for my self-esteem. Okay, all good. But what's the ultimate feeling? And really, from my experience, what I see is that for most people, they are after a feeling, and that feeling is maybe, let's call it happiness, or maybe a sense of fulfillment. They have told themselves a story that I'm going to get this type of feeling, positive feeling, when I get what I want. And that is an aspect of the achiever's mindset. But here's the thing, as I said earlier on, from what I see for myself and with my clients over the last 20 years, that feeling is fleeting. If that's the mindset you stay in, if you stay in the achiever's mindset, the feeling is fleeting. It's a bit like, I'm going to get a car, I'll get a new car. I'm gonna feel like the man or the woman or whatever. I get the car. I'm in the car in the dealership. I feel amazing. I drive out of that dealership lot. How long does that feeling last? Because it doesn't last forever, and it's quite short. Same as a new house. You can build a new house or a business, or maybe I'm going to sell my business, or maybe I want to get a new relationship. And you told yourself that when I get that thing, that relationship, that thing, whatever the thing is, then I will feel more complete. I always remember a client years ago who was very smart entrepreneur, and they had told me their goal was they wanted to get to say 10 million in sales. And if they got to 10 million sales, then that would be kind of the answer to everything. They would have arrived. That means a certain level of income. And so that's what they pursued relentlessly with obsessive achievers mindset focus. And they were very good, really, really good, very clever, very good entrepreneur. But didn't really understand or see this thing about the achievers mindset. They achieved the goal of the 10 million in sales. And I always remember very soon after they achieved that milestone, having a conversation with them saying, look, how do you feel about it? And they looked at me straight and went, yeah, I don't feel the way I thought I'd feel. And I just realized I wasn't thinking big enough, because kind of 10 million, quote unquote, is for losers. We're going to go for 20. And that's the danger with the achievers mindset, is that it's never, ever satisfied. It kind of brings out what I call the more monster. The more monster, like you always want more. And as I've heard a few times over the last couple of years, like, well, yeah, but how much is enough? Like, at what point are you actually going to be satisfied? Because your mind is never satisfied. That's why I always say to people, like, you're not your mind, you're not your thinking, which is confusing sometimes for people, but you're not. You're the awareness behind your mind and your thinking, and you've got a choice as to which mindsets you want to go into. I remember talking to somebody, a friend who deals with billionaires. They're in the private aviation space. They have all these private jets flying around the place. But he just said to me before, like, you'd be shocked at the level of competition at that level between billionaires, that they always want more. So they could be on the exact same plane with the exact same interiors, but if one of them has a slight difference, like he was telling me a story where one of the planes had, I think it was a blue tip at the back, and one of them, the guy, his plane was just had a plain tip, like white. And he came to my friend and started giving out because, like, how come he's got a blue tip and I don't have a blue tip? That's an example of just a mind that will never be satisfied. And that's what he always told me stories about, the billionaires, where they'd never really ever be satisfied. He was a rare person he met who would just be content. And when I'm saying be content, I'm not saying you don't go off and create. It's just that if you're able to kind of switch off that mindset, turn it on when you want, turn it off when you're not in that mode. It doesn't have to be on all the time. Like, that's the point I'm trying to make. And I think the entrepreneurial mind that I've been talking about over the last couple of episodes, that's one of the dangers for most entrepreneurs. They will have an achiever's mindset, but they don't really understand how to switch it off. And that's one of the things, for example, that I explore in my program MindShift, which I've been talking about. I'm not going to go into it today. I've done enough plugging, but that's part of the skill set, is to understand, I have a mindset, it works a certain way, it gives me results, but I need to be able to turn it off. Otherwise, it's going to cause me pain. But people don't realize that. So let's bring it back to you. Where do you perhaps already have the achiever's mindset in action? Where do you have it? And how are you using your mind? Are you thinking in outcomes? Or perhaps, where do you need it? Like, where do you need to turn it on? There's an area where you're not completely happy. Just reflect on, what are you playing in your mind? Are you playing negative outcomes? Are you playing stuff that happened in the past? Are you playing a story about yourself that's limiting? Maybe you could experiment with seeing the outcomes, seeing the positive process of you moving towards that positive outcome. Where do you need to turn off the achiever's mindset, perhaps? Like, where perhaps are you being overly competitive? A lot of achievers bring it into their relationships. They have to be a little bit better than everybody around them, or at least feel that they are. That's damaging. And don't think people don't see it. They do. Or maybe, where do you need to turn it on? Where do you need to have a little bit of more of, okay, let's go for this, and turn on the achiever's mindset? And again, what I'm saying is, you have a choice on mindsets. They are patterns of thinking. They're trains of thought. They're literally a process, an internal process for thinking. So I suppose to close it out, what I'd say to you is, the achiever's mindset, from my perspective, is an incredibly valuable asset for humans. It is absolutely incredible. But for the best results in life, for you, for your family, your community, your organization, for the world, we need to learn how to turn it off and just enjoy the present. Ciao for now.